Another storm rolls into San Diego, and downtown shelters are ready to help the homeless. With the new year comes new laws. Hundreds of them are about to take effect in California, but some critics say there are too many. And the border fence becomes a canvas for artists. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Ebony Monet. 2 San Diego homeless shelters are opening their doors for extra people this weekend. Father Joe's Villages will take in an extra 250 people tonight and tomorrow because of rainy weather. Extra beds are also being made available at the Path San Diego Connection Shelter on 6th Avenue. More rainy, cold weather is heading to San Diego this weekend. The Weather Service says the mountains could get several inches of snow, and we could see as much as an inch of rain in the valleys and along the coast. This video was taken earlier in Mission Valley. So far, there haven't been any reports of problems from flooding, but the health department is warning people to beware of higher bacteria levels along the coast because of runoff from the rain. While California's minimum wage is set to increase 50 cents on the first day of 2017, San Diego's minimum wage earners will be getting a $1 boost. In June, San Diego voters passed the pay hike, along with up to 5 days of sick leave each year. That ordinance applies to all industries and businesses. And Californians will get a tax cut in the new year. The statewide sales tax is set to fall a quarter point back to 7.25% on Sunday. That's because of the expiration of a temporary tax increase. The tax cut means San Diego County's sales tax rate of 8% will drop to 7.75%. More changes are ahead for California, with nearly 900 bills becoming law after the New Year's countdown. Reporter Jonathan Underland takes a look at some of the laws taking effect in 2017.
California lawmakers sent more than 1,000 bills to Governor Brown's desk this year. Brown signed almost all of them. Starting January 1st, California drivers will only be able to use their cell phones if they are mounted to the windshield or dashboard of their car.
And the only thing you can do is use your finger to swipe or touch the screen.
Governor Brown ushered in a law to increase statewide minimum wages to $15 by the year 2022.
But remember, we've got to listen to workers. Workers are the ones who gets the wages.
On January 1st, statewide minimum wages will rise from $10 to $10.50. A slew of stricter gun controls are also on the way.
We've covered a large spectrum when it comes to gun safety measures, from high capacity cartridges to bullet buttons to registry to domestic violence.
And single-use bathrooms throughout the state will be converted to be gender neutral.
We think that's fair, it creates greater convenience, and it offers a safer environment for folks.
The hundreds of laws going into effect on January 1st have some people wondering, are they all really necessary? Like one law that allows salons and barbershops to serve complimentary beer and wine to their customers.
Well, sure, that may be a good idea. The simple fact that the legislature has to pass more laws that actually undoes portions of other laws tells you that we're probably jamming too much legislation through the system to begin with.
While many of these laws will have major visible impacts, the majority of California's nearly 900 new laws will slip into effect on January 1st, practically unnoticed. From the state capitol, Jonathan Underland reporting.
Other laws officially hitting the books January 1st include eliminating the statute of limitations for rape and other sex crimes. Also, the state's Fair Pay Act that ensures equal pay for men and women will now extend to equal pay for all people of all races and ethnicities. Women will now be able to pick up a year's worth of birth control pills in one trip to the doctor. A program offering electric car rebates will now only be available to those making $150,000 or less, and selfies at the polls will now be legal. California is loosening up on other election rules too. Next year, voters can register up until Election Day. If you do register on Election Day, your vote will be provisional until it's verified by election officials. 16 and 17-year-olds will be able to pre-register before turning 18, and the DMV is working with the state to set up automated voter registration systems.
Initially, we won't have everybody that isn't registered, but over a period of a few years, we're expecting some very significant changes in terms of what our registration population looks like.
Officials say youth voting in California is low and hopes these new laws change that. Some state lawmakers say there's a loophole in legalizing recreational marijuana. They say Proposition 64 doesn't include a specific ban on smoking pot while driving. So next week, they plan to introduce a bill to close that gap. U.S. immigration officials are reporting a 15% increase in arrests in the last fiscal year. The Department of Homeland Security says it was mostly driven by an increase in migrants from Central America. The agency also says many of those border crossers are families and children. A Tijuana muralist is leading hundreds of artists in an effort to beautify the border fence between the U.S. and Mexico. KPBS Fronteras reporter Jean Guerrero has the story.
Enrique Chu brings together volunteers from both the U.S. and Mexico to paint the border fence every weekend. He wants to make the fence colorful and inspiring. He says the original border fence, with its plain steel, is ugly.
It was a rusty wall, a wall full of, apathy, sadness. For years, it was seen as something that divides.
He started the project in December. It's called El Mural de la Hermandad, the mural of brotherhood and sisterhood.
We want to send a message of peace, of kinship, of unity between the two nations.
Anyone can come paint the wall with Chu, professional artists, families, even children.
If someone doesn't know what to paint, I help them. If they don't have an image in mind, maybe a message such as love and peace.
Chu's only rule is that the images must be happy. When it's done, Chu says the mural will be one of the longest in Mexico, stretching about 1.25 miles. Chula Vista illustrator Michelle Ruby Guerrero was one of the artists at the fence.
So we're here gathered together as a community to paint and really make this wall stand out and turn it into something beautiful and positive rather than the negative image that it is.
She says her painting stands for love and enlightenment. Chu says he's not worried about President-elect Donald Trump's plans to replace the fence with a tall wall.
If they build a wall, it's more canvas for us. We'll paint that too.
Chu says the artist will paint every weekend through April 2nd. Jean Guerrero, KPBS News.
The U.S. Navy will join Mexico in working to save the world's smallest marine mammal. The San Diego Union Tribune reports the Marines Mammal Program will be part of an effort to capture the Vaquita in the Sea of Cortez. There are believed to be only a few dozen of the tiny porpoises left in the world. The plan is to save them would be to remove them from open water and put them into a protected bay where they'd be safe from gill nets. The Navy's dolphins would help searchers find the animals. The operation is planned for this spring, but there's no guarantee of success. Vaquita have never been kept in captivity before. A Poway veteran who became the focus of a Hillary Clinton campaign has died. Joel Solander got involved in the presidential politics last fall after then-candidate Donald Trump made derogatory comments about prisoners of war. Solander was a POW in World War II.
Ultimately, I was captured after knocking out a bunker with a grenade. It was mainly hunger and cold and worrying whether the Germans were going to hurt us again. Apart from the outrage of the insult to prisoners of war, he insulted all of our military.
Solander served in the Army. He was awarded the Purple Heart and Bronze Star for Valor. He will be buried at Arlington National Cemetery. And the Padres' first ever All-Star has died. Chris Solander joined the Padres in 1969. He went to the All-Star game that season. He was with the Padres for 5 years. He retired from pro ball in 1974, eventually becoming an assistant coach at USD. In an interview, he once said, "Life is good when you have a baseball uniform on." A private joint funeral is planned for mother and daughter actresses Debbie Reynolds and Carrie Fisher, who died within a day of each other this week. The family says the two will be buried together. Tonight, North County Star Wars fans are planning a lightsaber vigil in Fisher's memory, honoring her iconic role as Princess Leia. It will be held at 7 at the California Center for the Arts in Escondido.
Californians gear up to defend state policies against the Trump administration. What will a Trump presidency mean for NAFTA and relations with Mexico? And there may be signs of hope for worried environmentalists. The KPBS Roundtable looks ahead tonight at 8:30.
Change of plans. A power outage has ruined New Year celebrations for many who are planning to stay at the Rio All-Suite Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. The outage prompted a 900-room evacuation yesterday in one of its towers. Hotel officials say they expect 500 rooms to reopen in time for the holiday, but the rest will remain off limits for several more days. Many guests have been transferred to other hotels. Look at that. Northern New England got hit with more than 2 feet of snow last night. The snowstorm caused hundreds of cars to slide off the road as they tried to escape and left more than 100,000 homes and businesses in Maine with no power this morning. The southern and western parts of the state also got hit with heavy snow. Well, grab your umbrella if you're heading out this weekend because San Diego is getting some more rain. Shanae Shocker has more in tonight's forecast.
Well, here in San Diego County, things are starting to look just a little bit different. Rain in the forecast, and we did see some of that today. We take a look at the radar. You can really see the circulation around this area of low pressure. Now, a lot of the heavier downpours held out towards Los Angeles, but down south, out towards San Diego, still receiving some of those showers as well. Now, as the system continues, it's going to keep dropping quite a bit of rain. We're going to be pretty cloudy as well. Much of this held off to the inland areas for our Friday, but eventually going to make its way out towards Mount Laguna, and that's going to bring some snowfall towards the area. But through tonight, shower or two in store for us, 56 degrees for our low. We are going to see some cloudy conditions with those clouds. Now, showers continue as we head out in towards Mount Laguna. For our low tonight, 37 degrees. So we're going to keep our precip out towards the mountains as rain. But then as you head into San Bernardino County and to Riverside County as well, those mountain ranges going to get some snowfall and actually down towards pass level as well. So this area of low pressure begins to push back in on our New Year's Day inland, and that's going to keep things nice and wet around the region for tomorrow as well. We're also seeing some cooler air being pumped down in behind this system. Here's a look how this is going to play out across the coastal regions. We do see showers continue for Saturday. Then as we head throughout the day in towards the afternoon, evening hours, it really begins to diminish, and our temperatures pretty steady over the next 5 days. We are going to be in the low 60s for our highs, seeing a mixture of clouds and sun really throughout much of the extended forecast timing. We do see our lows out towards the 40s, and by Wednesday we're into the low 40s for our overnight lows. Inland, pretty much the same thing going on. We're in the low 60s through Sunday, keeping those showers throughout the afternoon is possible, but then we'll begin to dry out. So it looks like on our New Year's Day, it's going to be a wet one on our Saturday and Sunday, but then as we head towards the latter half of our weekend, we'll begin to clear out and be able to enjoy the nice weather. And towards our Monday, our highs drop into the upper 50s, lows into the mid 40s once again after Sunday rolls around. And then pretty steady clouds and sun, and definitely cooler as well. And then we head in towards the mountains. This is where things begin to get interesting out here. Snow and rain for our Saturday, 43 degrees here. Now, snow levels definitely getting down to the 35 to 4,000 mark here, and we are going to be seeing a coating to 3 inches, and at the higher elevations, especially out near Big Bear, we could be potentially be seeing over a foot of some snowfall. So travel conditions through the mountain ranges on our New Year's possibly going to be a little bit tough. And towards our Sunday, we kick off the new year with some rain, and then we'll stay in the 40s throughout the beginning of our work week next week. Last but not least, the deserts, and they have pretty much the best weather here. They're looking mostly dry, going to see some clouds and sun, and then they're cooling off down towards the lower 60s for next week. For KPBS News, I'm Shanae Shocker.
Wanted, an organist who can play the world's largest outdoor pipe organ with a musical catalog that spans Bach to David Bowie. The city of San Diego is looking to fill its civic organist position. KPBS reporter Claire Tregesser has more on the job that no other city has.
Every Sunday at Balboa Park, a musician takes a seat at the 101-year-old Spreckles organ. Music fills its more than 5,000 pipes and spills into the air from more than 30 feet above. Up there also sit instruments like a bass drum, cymbals, and castanets, all part of the organ. It isn't any old pipe organ, and the person playing it can't be any old organist.
And one of the things I'm going to be looking for in candidates is that they do things, they have a personality on stage, both musically and personally.
Jack Lasher is the president of the Spreckles Organ Society. He's looking for an organist who can command the unique venue. It's easy for organ music to fill a church, but this organ sits in a wide open public park.
We get people on Sunday afternoons that are just walking through the park, or they're on a guided tour, and they didn't even know there was an organ there. And so they hear the organ, they come in, and then it's important that the organist be able to keep them there.
One way to do that is by playing a variety of music, not church music, which many organists know, and not just classical pieces either. Case in point, outgoing civic organist Carol Williams played hour-plus tributes to David Bowie.
A lot of organists are not geared up for that. You kind of work into it. We're not really trained to, to do that. We're trained to play concert music, like the great classics.
Williams left after 15 years because her husband took a job out of town. She'll now work on her own music and give concerts. As civic organist, Williams says she loved the chance to show her range.
Closing night has always become a tradition to let the hair down and do something like gospel, Broadway, rock and roll.
Including her version of Phantom of the Opera. She says the right candidate to replace her will know how to attract a broad audience.
They need somebody who's enthusiastic, determined to get the organ, keep the organ as a voice to the city. It's vital that somebody is not sort of, stuck up and just only wants to play Baroque or romantic music.
She has to be able to make it interesting by talking about the music, maybe throwing in a joke or two here and there.
Lasher defines this quality as stage presence.
A liveliness about it so that it's not just a cardboard figure sitting at the organ.
Lasher expects around 150 applicants for the job. His nonprofit in the city will pay its roughly $56,000 salary. They'll post the job in the American Organist magazine. Yes, it exists. Then the committee will bring 5 applicants to audition in Spreckles. While Lasher is mourning the loss of Williams,
she brings a glamour, if you will, to the stage, and she knows how to talk to the audience. And her British accent doesn't hurt anything.
He's excited to hear a new voice coming from the city's organ pipes, hopefully for many more years to come.
It says a lot about San Diego in that they have kept it going, and so it shows that there's an importance.
Claire Tregesser, KPBS News.
Kids at Rady's Children's Hospital are still reeling after a big surprise. These are images taken Thursday as pop star Miley Cyrus pays the young patients a visit. She was there with her fiance and Hunger Games star Liam Hemsworth. Hospital officials say the kids had no idea they were coming. The couple spent time chatting and taking selfies with the patients and their parents. Today, the hospital tweeted a big thank you and said the visit brought smiles to the children's faces and was a huge hit. Rady is the largest children's hospital in California and the region's only designated pediatric trauma center.
I'm Hari Srinivasan on the next News Hour. Some of the best music of 2016. That's Friday on the PBS News Hour.
Last July, San Diego State University's downtown gallery focused on the history of the American political cartoon in an exhibit called Party Line: The History, Art, and Politics of Editorial Cartoon. KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando spoke to two of the cartoonists featured.
People that write, you can't really get under the skin of people the way that political cartoons do. Politics plus image, boom, political cartoons.
There's always going to be this appetite for a static image which just pulls together the facts on any given story, kind of captures that topic like lightning in a bottle and lays out an opinion. I think a cartoon has a way of cutting through all the clutter and laying things out in a real simple, clear, easy to access way.
And I think it's because it's one image, and usually, you know, like when I get a hate letter, I know that I've already defeated that person because my one image is already inside that person's head. It's never going to come out.
People, they like the fact that a cartoon just kind of crystallizes things. You know, there's a lot of noise out there, especially now with all the different platforms. But a cartoon is just able to kind of, a static image, boom, you get it.
We are at the Party Lines exhibit put on by my alma mater, San Diego State, in downtown San Diego.
We're here at the beautiful editorial cartooning exhibit on the American presidency.
Kind of fond of one of my Trump as the devil from the Loteria cards, you know. People tell me it's a little too cute, made him look cute. I'm very proud of how I make his hair turn into a devil's tail, a frontal devil's tail.
Well, it might be the suicide vest cartoon on Donald Trump. I did the cartoon after the Paris attacks, or maybe it was the attacks in Belgium, where some of the bombers wore suicide vests. And I kind of combined the two issues with Trump and the terrorists and what he was doing to the Republican Party. Humor is probably the most common weapon in our arsenal or tool in our toolbox.
Satire is just a natural outlet to mock people in power. Like Mexicans have done it naturally for hundreds of years to mock people in power. That's like the national pastime in Mexico. I mean, jokes aren't funny unless they're true. When it comes to political satire, man, it's doubly brutal, you know, and really just gets right to the point. I mean, that's what's so great about political cartooning, that it just sticks its finger in that wound and makes you cry.
And that's the purpose of editorial cartooning, is to kind of move the needle. You're trying to influence opinion, you're trying to provoke, and it's really a shame that there are some out there who are way too sensitive, these grievance hunters.
People that don't understand editorial cartooning will say, you do it on purpose. I'm like, no, this is just what came out of my head. If you're offended by it, that's your problem, you know, and maybe you're supposed to be offended by it.
There are people who deserve to be offended, yes.
I know that in my comic strip, I can't put certain things. They tell me it's a family paper. Although you would never know by reading all the letters, the hate mail I get from the San Diego Union Tribune, which is the most anywhere, of course, my old hometown.
Well, I've gotten death threats in email before. It's not frequent that you get that, but it's a shame, again, that you can't say what you want to say in a democracy, you know? any given presidential election year is fantastic for editorial cartoonists, right? This election year is a gift from God.
Pasadena's annual Rose Parade next week will be more than a New Year's celebration. It will also be a wedding ceremony. Two of the volunteers who put together the floats for the parade will walk down the aisle on a float. The pair have been together for 17 years.
I've been waiting for this for a lot of years, and I couldn't be happier. I can't imagine being happier. So long as she's next to me, nothing else matters.
The wedding photographer, singer, and minister will all be fellow Rose Parade volunteers. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us, and from all of us here at KPBS, we wish you a happy and safe new year. We'll see you again in 2017.